My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. I did about 5.5 hours of live streams yesterday, so I'm going to try to keep this one quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through everything that we did, all of our picks, bets, monkey knife fights, DraftKings, let you know how we did. And I'll tell you right now, we had another good weekend. I mean, at a certain point, we're going to miss, but we have not missed yet. I am up a full unit with bets. I'm up a ton with monkey knife fight. I made money in every single 50-50 and double up in DraftKings, and we'll talk about some fights. So let's go through all of that. UFC Vegas 34 was absolutely awesome. Fantastic card, top to bottom, ton of fun. Every fight was a banger. Let's talk about the bets. These are all of the bets that we hit last night. I personally am up an entire unit, and that is thank you to my good friend Parker Porter. If you watched the interview with Parker, he talked about his training camp, how ready he was, but I didn't air his game plan. And his game plan was leg kicks and takedowns. He didn't do too many takedowns, but he did use those leg kicks. So let's get into the bets. Hit the Parker Porter money line at plus 165. Dan hit the Pantoja money line at minus 170. He put 1.5 units on that. Austin Lingo was Jacob's big lock of the week, and he hit that at plus 103. He was on a little bit of a streak and hopefully starting another one now. So plus 103, Austin Lingo, the lock of the week, wins. Every single one of these bets we showed you in our betting breakdown. So none of these should be news to you. I'm just covering the ones that we hit. And a couple of prop bets. I hit the Parker Porter Chase Sherman over 1.5 rounds at minus 165. I put 2 full units on that to cover because minus 165, yeah, those aren't great odds. I was positive that was going to go over a round and a half. I should have put 10 units on that. I was so confident. Danny Boy hit Pantoja wins inside the distance at plus 200, and Pantoja Royval does not go the distance. Both Dan and Jacob hit that one. So make sure you go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Grab yourself a promo. They're doing up to $1,000 match. Grab yourself a promo. Follow along. Bet with us every single week. And next weekend, we have UFC and the ridiculous Jake Paul fight, which should have some really fun props that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about monkey knife fight every week. And I know a lot of you are skeptical. A lot of you are holding out, waiting. Every single week we go through our monkey knife fight picks, and every single week we make money. Every week, without fail. And last night in our live stream, there were people in the comments talking about I'm 7 for 7, 8 for 8. And when you 2.5 times your money with every single play, that is a ton of money. You cannot miss with monkey knife fight. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up. Use the promo code. They will give you an instant full deposit match for free. Instantly. Use the free money if you're worried about it. Don't even use your real money. Let's walk through what I hit and what I missed. Knockout Kings. I started the week saying, I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it. And then towards the end of the week, I did all the heavyweights. I did William Knight, Parker Porter, and Chase Sherman. You only need one knockout to hit William Knight with the big knockout. So I 1.25x my money. So 25% profit. Pick 3 heavyweights. Not a bad return. And then here's the regular lines that I hit. I did less on Knight Charant, 2.5 times my money. Less on Nunes Malecki, 2.5 times my money. And we'll talk about that Nunes pick. We hammered that. More on Kelleher Prolarte. I knew those two were dogs, 2.5 times my money. And more on Guida Madsen, 2.5 times my money. All of those hit. I have 2 misses. I missed Parker and Chase less. I was hoping Parker would get a stoppage, but that was stupid. Parker's last fight, he set a record for significant strikes in the heavyweight division. I don't know why. I mean, he broke his own record last night, so I don't know why I did less, but I missed it. Pantoja Royval, more. Obviously I regret doing it because I missed, but that was a solid pick logically. I thought that was going to be much more of a war, but Pantoja would look fantastic in that. We'll talk about that fight in a minute. I am up 4.25 units. And that's the beauty of monkey knife fight. So I won 4 lines. I missed 2 lines. So 4 and 2 on lines. And then I did Knockout Kings. 4-2, and then knock out Kings, and I'm up 4.25 units. You cannot miss with Monkey Knife Fight. I'm telling you right now, this is borderline a PSA. WeOnPicks.com/MKF. If you don't believe me, ask anybody in the comments. Let's talk about our DraftKings lineups. We did pretty well. So I am the biggest advocate on planet Earth for 50-50s and double up. I don't even chase the big tournaments anymore. It's not worth it to me. Throwing 50 lineups out there, hoping for 20 grand, it's possible. People have used our lineups before and won a bunch of money. That's just not my style. I am all about 50-50s and double ups, and I'll tell you one more time why. All you have to do is be better than half the people. That's the beauty of it. You double your money, and you just have to be better than half the people. So that's what I do, and my lineup on the left, 505 points. I was way better than half the people. I was better than 2/3 of the people. I probably wouldn't have made any money in a giant tournament, but who cares? I make money every single week with 50-50s and double ups. You should absolutely do the same. Jacob, 428 points in his lineup. Also, I don't know what he did with his lineup, but if he did 50-50s and double ups, the leagues I was in, the bottom half was not above 400. So would have taken money and everything. Let me know how you did with your lineups, because this was a pretty good week. We had a couple of dogs put up some points, but mostly favorites won, except for Nunes, our big underdog, Austin Lingo, Jacob's lock of the week. Let's talk about the fights. Bea Malecki versus Jose Nunes. If you watch our breakdown, we basically called this one perfectly. Jacob specifically called this one down to a T. Said Jose Nunes is going to get in Malecki's face, make it dirty, stay in the pocket, not let her have that distance. That's exactly what she did. Put her away. Jose Nunes, listen, Bea Malecki has the credentials to the moon with her Muay Thai. But for some reason, even though this was a striking battle, people have a hard time in a cage taking those other striking styles, bringing them to a cage and fighting MMA. Even though there were no takedowns here, things are different. It is just different. It's very, very different. So the gloves are smaller. There is a cage instead of a ring, which matters. So either way, Jose Nunes got in there dirty, kept it close, got rid of the distance, and was just bombing away until she got that knockout. Great job, Jose Nunes. She was our pick this week. So hopefully you guys follow along. We got a little bit of hate for that pick. So if you want to apologize, I'm okay with that. Luis Saldana versus Austin Lingo. Austin Lingo's was Jacob's lock of the week. I was on the wrong side of this. I had Luis Saldana. I thought he was just more technical, more precise. Austin Lingo's just a dog. Straight up dog. Luis Saldana won that first round, touched up Austin Lingo. I mean, if you watch the first 3 minutes of that fight, it's like, all right, well, this is going to be a beating. And then Austin Lingo just kept coming, took his beating, kept coming. And all of a sudden the tide shifted and Austin Lingo took those last 2 rounds with just sheer grit and move forward pressure. So great job, Jacob, for the lock of the week. I know you guys were dogging him, calling the loss of the week. So that has flipped. And if you know Jacob, he's very streaky. When he's hot, he hit like 9 lock of the weeks in a row. Then he lost a few. But now that he hit another one, let's see what this streak does to him. So Austin Lingo, an absolute dog. Luis Saldana, honestly, it looked like he gassed a little bit and didn't want to fight dirty, but really fun fight. Pantoja versus Royval. This was an awesome fight with a complete 180 shift. Brandon Royval came out, got the takedown, almost submitted Pantoja. Looked really good. Pantoja gets the reversal. Whole thing changes. Pantoja wins by stoppage. Great fight. Both of these dudes, I don't think either one, Royval should lose any stock. Pantoja should gain some stocks. So I thought it was an awesome fight. It was a ton of fun. Complete 180 shift in the middle of it. Brandon Royval has proved time and time again that he's just an absolute dog. I keep saying the word dog in this breakdown, but he's a dog. He's just willing to come and fight and just keep doing it and making it dirtier and going, never giving up. And that's what we had here, a wild back and forth exchange. And if you watched our Monkey Knife Fight video, we do two a week. The first one we do, it is me and the guy who sets the actual Monkey Knife Fight lines. His talks through his logic, how we got to those numbers, and then I give my thoughts on some picks. The second one is our picks. But in that first video, Chris Riley, the guy who sets the lines, I was like, man, I think your Royval line is low. And he was like, if you only watch the fights and don't look at the stats, I would agree. That looks low. And he goes, but Brandon Royval, doesn't land as many strikes as you think he does. He's in these wild back and forth fights, but it's a lot of grappling exchanges and there's not a lot of strikes there. And that's exactly what this was. Because I played the more. I lost the more. I played the more. But even if this went to a decision, I don't know if I would have hit that. Because you're getting later in the round, you're looking at the number of strikes landed, and there weren't that many because the grappling exchanges were so wild. So either way, fun fight. Brandon Royval will always be in a fun fight. Pantoja will always be in a fun fight. Really looking forward to both of them and the next fight. Austin Hubbard versus Vince Pichel. This is another really fun fight. You know, if I wasn't looking at the stats, Austin Hubbard was winning that fight. I don't know why. I just felt like Austin Hubbard was winning the fight. And then you look at the stats, and Vince Pichel is doubling him in all the strikes and everything like that. So really good fight, ton of fun. Good job for Vince Pichel. And actually, before I move on to the next fight, what was really impressive is Pichel's striking. He didn't even need to lean on his wrestling to win this fight. So good for him. He was the better grappler for sure, and he used it a little bit, but honestly, the striking was impressive. He was in front, touching him up. Great job. Great fight. Ton of fun, as the rest of them were. Trevin Jones. Do I try to pronounce this name? Trevin Jones versus Kakhramonov. That was an interesting fight, too. So, you know, we didn't break down this fight. I talked about it in the live stream, but we didn't do the full breakdown. There were so many changes last minute. I just left it where it was. But if you checked out the live stream, some people said, what do you think's going to happen? And I was like, it's an interesting dynamic because Trevin Jones took the fight on short notice. Then he lost his opponent. Then Kakhramonov took the fight on short notice. But Sadyakub, listen, the names, man, come on. Anyway, looked at the grappling credentials, looked at the striking, looked at some stuff and said, this does not seem like a great fight for Trevin Jones. So didn't do a full breakdown. So I don't have an official pick here, but boy, am I looking forward to that dude's next fight. And I feel bad for Trevin Jones because that's what I mentioned in our live stream yesterday as well, where there's only so many times you could step up, save a card or save a fight and lose and not lose some stock. And I'm really hoping Trevin Jones, who is exciting and very talented, I'm really hoping Trevin Jones doesn't ruin his career because he's just so willing to fight anybody, anywhere, at any time. Because that could be a legit problem. It really could be. So hopefully Trevin Jones takes the time, settles down. They paid him. They took care of him. And he makes sure he comes back, does the right thing, and gets a win. And I'm really looking forward to Kakhramonov and his next fight because he looked polished. He looked poised. I mean, he looked UFC ready. That was his debut, and he looked absolutely UFC ready. He looked like he had been there for a while. Great fight. I'm looking forward to seeing them both again. Parker Porter versus Chase Sherman. If I haven't mentioned this enough this week, Parker Porter is a personal friend of mine. So I was very, very invested in this fight. And I was very high on him. I bet the money line. I bet 2 units on the over on the rounds. And I was really high on Parker this week. We did an interview with Parker this week. But towards the end of the week, I'm like, am I crazy? Like, I went to the dude's wedding. Like, I'm personal friends with him. Maybe I'm not removing myself from the situation. But I was like, no, like he is that good. Everybody's so high on Chase Sherman, but Chase Sherman doesn't move his head. And yes, he's tough, but he doesn't move his head. And Parker has very good striking. Even if you look at the Dawkins fight, which he lost, but he took that fight on like a week's notice after having a child 2 weeks earlier. Was not in shape, but he still got off some nice strikes. Parker is now on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. He was one of the biggest underdogs on this card. One of, not the 2 Connecticut guys, him and William Knight. Oh, actually, William Knight was the biggest favorite, but the 2 Connecticut guys won. Connecticut's looking great. I'm from Connecticut. Very happy. So anyway, Parker looked fantastic. That first round was lighting Chase Sherman up with those leg kicks. That slowed Chase down. Parker didn't seem to lean on those leg kicks that much after that, but he didn't need to. His boxing was so clean. He was in and out, moving, and it just looked like Parker saw everything coming and his head was out of the way and he just fired back. So great fight. I had Parker in my lineup for over 100 points. I had bets on Parker. Couldn't be happier for the dude, and he broke his own record for significant strikes in a heavyweight fight. So Parker with the volume, Parker with the win. Couldn't be happier for my man, Parker Porter. Clay Guida versus Mark Madsen. This was the most talked about fight this week. The views on that video were through the roof. The website clicks were through the roof. This video or this fight had everybody the most interested. I had Mark Madsen winning. Jacob had Mark Madsen winning. Dan had Clay Guida winning. Talking about Mark Madsen, his striking's not very good. He seems to tire a little bit. And Clay Guida's just constant movement and his striking should get this done. And listen, that wasn't bad analysis at all because it looked like Clay Guida was going to win this fight. And then Mark Madsen, with that jab just in Clay's face, started to take over. So the most impressive thing to me here, two things. One, Clay Guida is still Clay Guida. I mean, he didn't skip a beat. The dude still doesn't slow down. He still looked crisp. He still looked clean. I mean, he still has a bunch of career left in front of him. He's going to turn 40 soon, and he still looks the same as he did 5 years ago. Mark Madsen, what was impressive is this win without using his wrestling is super impressive. Super impressive. He tied Clay up a few times, but just didn't execute the takedowns that he probably thought he was going to. He won this fight with that jab. It was in Clay's face, and that jab really got this done. So great job, Mark Madsen. And honestly, this is what was supposed to happen, right? The undefeated contender wins so they can push him, and we'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to Mark Madsen's next fight, and Clay Guida will be I'll be a forever fan of Clay Guida and his insane volume. The main event of the evening. I was on the wrong side of this one. Picked Kelvin Gastelum, said his wrestling is better, which it is. His striking is probably better. His footwork is probably better. I still stand by those things, but what was really impressive with Jared Cannonier is his cardio. He is that big, that jacked, carrying that much muscle, and his cardio didn't fade at all. He was breathing with his mouth open, but it didn't affect his speed. It didn't affect his movement. That was impressive, and his takedown defense was very impressive. And DC talked about that before the fight, saying Jared Cannonier does not have very good takedown defense. And we had people in our camp that were training for Jared Cannonier. And the game plan was always, just take him down. And then all of a sudden he went from heavyweight to light heavyweight. Maybe it's not as easy to take him down when he's that strong, but smaller. Then from light heavy to middle, I mean, he's very hard to take down. He's very hard. He is just so freaking strong. Even if his technique isn't crisp, he's very hard to take down. And I think Kelvin Gastelum got like half of a takedown at the end of the first and didn't get close to another one after that. Kelvin Gastelum is still tough as hell. His chin is insane. I mean, he got sat down. He got clipped right to his butt, popped right back up, and came at Jared Cannonier and looked fresh, not 30 seconds after that. So Jared Cannonier, really impressive to me. I mean, he kept his power. He kept his speed that entire fight. Takedown defense was there. Kelvin Gastelum, it's hard. It was impressive how tough he was. It was impressive that he was in that fight the whole time. He kept coming forward, didn't have cardio issues himself. But Kelvin Gastelum, it's the same thing I just said with Jones. There's only so many times that you could take a fight last minute, try to save the card, and lose and not lose a ton of stock. So Kelvin Gastelum now has 8 losses. If you look at those 8 losses, every single one of them is to either a champion, former champion, or top 10 guy in the division. Top 3, actually. Jared Cannonier was number 3. So Kelvin Gastelum still has a very, if you dig into the record, it's a good record. But he needs to take a step back, go through a full training camp, put in the time, get better, and then come back and fight. And I forget who it was that said it in our live stream. If Kelvin Gastelum keeps taking these last-minute fights, when is he getting better? And that is one of the best points I have ever heard in one of our live chats, because if Kelvin Gastelum is constantly just cutting weight fighting, he's never in a camp learning new techniques, improving on things. So either way, Kelvin Gastelum, this is probably the last time that he could lose like this before he's going to have real career issues. I don't think this takes a lot away from him. He was ranked number 9. He lost to the number 3 ranked guy in a close fight. This was a close fight. It absolutely was a close fight. So I don't think his stock went down much because at the end of the day, he was supposed to lose this fight, but hopefully he takes the time, does the right thing, improves, makes some changes. He should be at welterweight. He should be. But it is what it is. He's at middleweight. And honestly, his size wasn't the issue. The issue was just he needed better wrestling in this fight. And maybe he needs to do a camp, go back to his roots, a little more wrestling. Either way, the entire card was a ton of fun. Let me know in the comments how you guys did. We had people in our live stream last night talking about, I made 2,000 here. I made 3,000 here. I made a ton of money. Hopefully you all got rich. Hopefully you followed along where we hit and you made a ton of money. WeWantPicks.com for all of our matches, all of our promos. There's free money literally everywhere. And speaking of free money, let's take a look at the DraftKings League and see which one of you gets the free payout from us. If you don't know, we have a free DraftKings League. It costs $0 to play. But if you win, we send you money. We send you money. Literally, because we're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to build some support. We're trying to expose people to all the things that we do. So we just send money. So, Milk Manly 95. You already reached out and I've already paid you. But Milk Manly 95 won the league. I sent him $15 because he's a subscriber. Where he really messed up is he should have become a member and I would have sent him $30. There's a join button under this video and the support would be unbelievably appreciated. And we send you twice as much money. Let's take a look at the lineup. Jared Cannonier, 74.5 points. Parker Porter, 100 points. My man, Pantoja, 99. Brian Kelleher, 125. Nunes, 120. And Bahamondes, 103 for 624.92 points. That is a killer lineup. Hopefully, you didn't just get the $15 from me. Hopefully, you entered that lineup in a bunch of other contests because that's a perfect lineup. 6-0. I haven't done the analysis, but I cannot imagine you would have scored more points elsewhere. I don't know if there's somebody that scored more. Who else on that card could have scored 100 points that I'm not thinking of that you could have swapped Cannonier out for? But either way, what a lineup. Great job. I paid you. But anybody watching this, join the league, join the contest, and we pay the winners. It's that simple. Just subscribe to the channel, become a member, like the videos, be supportive. We're supporting you. Great job on this lineup. Let's take a look at second place. Second place went 5-1. Your only loss, Clay Guida. Listen, 29 points. It's not great, but he was only $7,100. Austin Lingo, the lock of the week, 72 points. Kelleher Nunes, William Knight, 105, and Brahimaj, 104. My lineup, I switched Brahimaj for William Knight. Essentially, it's a wash. It was a 1 point difference. But what that did allow me to do is afford Kelvin Gastelum, which didn't do much, did it? But 40 points there. That's more than Clay Guida scored. So anyway, let's take a look at third place. Kelvin Gastelum, 40 points. A little disappointing, but it is what it is. Madsen, 71. Parker, 100 points. Pantoja, Kelleher, and Brahimaj. Great card. A ton of fun. Join the league. And join us this next week. We got a busy week. We have our normal breakdowns. And we have the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley fight. It's not really our wheelhouse, but hell, we'll watch it, we'll stream it, and we'll do a betting breakdown because the prop bets for those things are a ton of fun. WeWantPicks.com, to Monkey Knife Fights, to the bets, to DraftKings. We're just giving away money left and right, trying to grow the channel. Thank you very, very much for the support. I am blown away every week by how amazing you guys are. Thank you, and we'll see you Tuesday for our live breakdown for UFC Vegas 35.